recently watched an early access screening of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And I think I'm going to put this at the moment. I know we're only 2 months in. Probably my favorite movie of the year. This is about a man from the future who arrives at a diner in Los Angeles where he must recruit the precise combination of patrons to join him on a one night quest to save the world from a rogue artificial intelligence. This movie is directed by Gore Verbinski, whose previous works include A Cure for Wellness, The Lone Ranger, which was not a great movie, the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. He's also directed a number of Bad Religion music videos. Those include like American Jesus, Strangers in Fiction, a few others. And there's a kind of a throwback or a call out in the movie. There's a scene where one of the characters, Ingrid, walks into the kitchen where her boyfriend's at, and she's wearing a Bad Religion shirt. So you definitely know he probably still listens to them. I'm sure he might be friends with the guys in that band. So I really love that call out in this film, whose previous works include Love and Monsters, which is something I've been meaning to see. I think it came out in the pandemic. A lot of people probably missed it. That one stars Dylan O'Brien going through this future or world where monsters exist to find his love. It looked like an interesting movie. It looked a little wacky, a little weird. He also wrote Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and he also wrote Monster Trucks. Going forward, I'll start adding in, the writer information, who writes these scripts and movies as well. I think it's always good to know who's written a movie. I know a lot of people don't actually go look at IMDb, see who wrote it, who's directing it. But those are important key things to know if a movie might be good or not. I know there's been times where there's David S. Goyer. He's like infamous for being hit or miss on some of the stuff he's written. He's helped write the Dark Knight and other movies like that, where they're very good movies, but it's like, okay, how much did David S. Goyer actually contribute to that? Was he just kind of the story guy and somebody else wrote the whole thing? Because he also brought us Blade 3, which was a train wreck of a film. But he also wrote and directed that, and I think Wesley Snipes pretty much hated him for it. Anyways, this movie stars Sam Rockwell as the man from the future, Zazie Beetz as Janet, Michael Pena as Mark, Juno Temple as Susan, Haley Lou Richardson as Ingrid, Asim Chaudhry as Scott. Those are kind of the main characters throughout the movie. There's a few other minor characters here and there, but they all kind of get dispatched throughout the film in interesting ways. I do have to say this movie was a joy to watch from start to finish. The opening monologue from Sam Rockwell was super entertaining. He was in his element of being weird and quirky, and it just hits you over the head with what this movie is about. And I think that's kind of a key component of this film. It's not very subtle in what the topics and the tropes are. It's kind of a social commentary front and center without hiding it under subtext. Some would say it's, maybe too on the nose, but with how society currently is with AI and social media, I think being on the nose is kind of the point they were going for, as more of the attention economy is based on second screen viewing, such as Netflix movies being watered down and constantly retelling you what the plot is and where they're at. This movie covers everything from AI and social media's impact on society, destroying it, to the apathetic nature and inaction that we've taken, especially in the U.S., against school shootings. And a lot of this is drip-fed through backstories of each of these characters and how they got to the diner that day. Zazie Beetz and Michael Pena's characters, Mark and Janet, are teachers at a school. You can tell they had some kind of relationship. Maybe they're not together at the moment because Mark is coming as a student teacher. There's this running joke of these high school teachers going on sabbatical, which is basically foreshadowed of like, okay, these people are disappearing, but for some reason you'll find out in the future as the film goes on what's going on with that. But this high school is just kids on their phones all day. There's some fun commentary around the teachers and the students and being afraid of the students, along with basically talking about teacher-student relationships almost being like war, as like, oh, are there any rules for kids having their phone out? One of the teachers says, are there any rules in war? Which was pretty funny. I think the audience got a good crack out of that one. And then there's also Juno Temple. She has lost her son, is looking for him, and that leads her to the diner that day. The ramifications of what happens there is kind of a big part of the movie and kind of helps move the story forward. Haley Lou Richardson, Ingrid, was left behind by her boyfriend. He got into VR heavy space and realized he wanted to permanently live in that virtual world instead of in reality. and that kind of crushes her soul. She ends up, running away from her apartment and ending up at this diner at this particular day, at this particular time. Each of these backstories slowly building the world we find ourselves in. Overrun by technology, staring at screens 24/7 without real human connection. And all of this is played through as they make their way from the diner to their objective of getting to this house a couple miles away to stop this artificial AI from being born or created without it having the right guardrails set in place. Through this journey, you learn more about Sam Rockwell's Man from the Future character and the reason why he wants to save humanity from itself. Rockwell's performance is the best thing about this movie from start to finish. As soon as he enters that diner, you know what you're in for. It's a fun ride. He's kind of over the top a little bit, and at one point you think it might be a little too much, but I think he balances out very well throughout the film. And the character, he doesn't get too crazy, doesn't get too over the top. You can tell he's a man on a mission and he doesn't want anything distracting. He's also in his element because this is like 100th time going through this objective of trying to put the right team together to take out the AI. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is a fun, bombastic movie from start to finish. Has a lot of wackiness, some weird things that happen to it. I think the weirdness could have been a little bit more weird with some of the concepts that would have made the movie even more fantastical, but overall, highly recommend seeing this in the theater. 4 stars.